I still remember the sound of the balloons popping when everything fell apart. Ethan had been waiting for this day for months, his 9th birthday. He'd talked about it every night, circling the date on the calendar, making a wish list with the careful handwriting of a boy who didn't ask for much. He'd even picked out the theme himself, dinosaurs, and I'd spent 2 weeks saving every spare dollar just to make it perfect. I thought it was going to be a good day. I should have known better. The living room smelled like frosting and paper plates. I'd strung up decorations myself, even though my parents had insisted on hosting the party for the family's sake. I'd let them because I wanted Ethan to feel loved. I wanted to believe my parents were capable of loving him. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Big mistake. The doorbell rang and Harper walked in, my younger sister, holding her daughter Maisie on one hip. She didn't even glance at Ethan. "Oh my God, Dad, look at her outfit," Harper squealed, holding Maisie out like she was presenting royalty. "Isn't she perfect?" Dad's entire face softened. He bent down, kissed Maisie's chubby cheeks, and held her up like she was a prize. "My golden girl," he said warmly. "Now this," he declared, looking at Harper, "is what a grandchild should be." The words stung, but I ignored them, forcing a smile for Ethan's sake. "Come on, buddy," I whispered, handing him the first slice of cake. "Make a wish." Ethan leaned forward, closing his eyes, lips moving silently before he blew out the candles. The kids cheered, and I thought just for a moment maybe today would be okay. But then Maisie started crying. And everything spiraled. "Turn that racket off!" Dad barked, slamming his fist on the table as Ethan's dinosaur playlist roared softly in the background. Ethan froze, holding his paper plate midair. It's just the birthday song," he stammered softly. Dad's face twisted into a snarl. "Don't talk back to me, boy." Before I could intervene, Maisie knocked over her cup, spilling juice on Dad's shirt. I expected him to scold her. He didn't. He turned slowly toward Ethan. "This is your fault," he hissed. Ethan's face crumpled, confusion spilling into fear. "I didn't—" Dad didn't let him finish. He stood up towering over my son, and before I could move, he swung his hand hard across Ethan's face. The sound of the slap silenced the entire room. I froze, my plate clattering onto the floor. Ethan stumbled backward, holding his cheek, tears pooling instantly. "Dad!" I screamed, rushing forward to shield him, but he shoved me aside. "Get him out of here!" Dad snarled, his voice low and dangerous. "This is Maisie's house. My golden girl shouldn't have to share her day with them." Them. He didn't even say their names. My children weren't people to him. "Stop it!" I shouted, putting myself between Ethan and Dad. My hands were shaking, but I didn't move. Ethan's little sister Lily clung to my leg, her big brown eyes wide with terror. "Why are you being mean to Ethan?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Dad's glare darted to her, and for one horrifying second, I thought he might raise his hand to her too. But Harper stepped in, clutching Maisie tighter. "Dad, don't waste your time," she said, rolling her eyes at me. "Just kick them out already. They're not like us." I turned on her so fast she flinched. "What did you just say?" She shrugged, lips curling into that familiar smirk she'd perfected since childhood. "Maisie's the golden one. Everyone knows it. Your kids should just be grateful we even let them come." My breath caught. I looked around the room at the grandparents, cousins, aunts. Nobody said a word. Not one person defended us. Then Dad shoved Ethan toward the door. "Get out," he barked. "Take your kids and go." Ethan stumbled, clutching his half-eaten slice of cake, staring at me like he'd done something wrong. I knelt in front of him, taking his tiny, trembling hands in mine. "You didn't do anything," I whispered fiercely, holding back tears. "Do you hear me? You didn't do anything wrong." But he didn't answer. He just nodded, silent and broken. I gathered Ethan and Lily, scooping their presents off the table with shaky hands. As I walked toward the door, Mom's laugh followed me. "That's what you get," she said casually, sipping her wine. "You chose to have those kids. Don't expect us to pretend they matter." I stopped dead in my tracks, my grip tightening on Lily's hand. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw every word she'd ever spat back in her face, but instead, I looked at Ethan at his swollen cheek, his trembling shoulders, and I stayed quiet, because this wasn't about me anymore. I took my kids and left, their laughter behind us replaced by silence. That night, I sat on the edge of Ethan's bed while he clutched his new toy dinosaur, staring at nothing. "Why doesn't Grandpa like me?" he whispered finally, his voice breaking in the quiet. My chest ached like someone was wringing my ribs. "He doesn't understand you," I said softly, brushing his hair back. "But I do. And I love you more than anything." His little arms wrapped around my neck, his breath shaky against my skin. And right then, I made a promise to myself. I wasn't going to let them break him. I wasn't going to let them treat my kids like they were less than human ever again. They thought they were untouchable. They thought my silence meant surrender. They had no idea what was coming. The next morning, Ethan wouldn't come out of his room. I stood by the doorway, watching him sit cross-legged on the floor, tracing tiny circles on the carpet with his finger. His cheek was still swollen where Dad had hit him. "Do you want breakfast, buddy?" I asked softly. He shook his head without looking up. Lily clung to my leg, silent too. My kids, who normally laughed about everything, wouldn't even speak. And something in me snapped. For years, I'd told myself to endure it, the favoritism, the humiliation, the endless comparisons to Harper and Maisie. I thought keeping the peace meant protecting my kids. But now, Ethan flinched when someone knocked on the door. Peace had never protected us. That night, after I put the kids to bed, I sat at the kitchen table scrolling through my phone until I found the photos I'd taken at the party. Maisie's 3-tier cake, the stack of presents taller than her, Dad holding her up like a trophy while Ethan stood in the corner clutching his toy dinosaur, invisible to everyone. And then the one Harper didn't know I'd captured Dad's hand raised mid-swing, Ethan's terrified face inches away. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't confront them. I didn't call screaming. I went silent. And when I go silent, they panic. I started gathering everything, not just the photo, but years' worth of messages, videos, receipts, all the small pieces of proof showing exactly how they treated my kids like outsiders while worshiping their golden grandchild. They thought I'd disappear quietly. They thought wrong, because I was done playing the powerless daughter. And they had no idea the storm I'd just set in motion. 2 weeks later, I showed up at my parents' house uninvited. I walked straight into their living room, Ethan's photo clutched tightly in my hand. The one where Dad's fist was frozen mid-air, Ethan's terrified face caught forever in that moment. They were all there. Dad on the recliner, Mom on the couch with her glass of wine, Harper sitting smugly with Maisie in her lap. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Dad sneered. "So the drama queen's back. What do you want now?" I set my phone on the table and hit play. The video filled the room. Ethan's scream, Dad's voice barking, Harper laughing in the background. I didn't say a word. I just watched as their faces drained of color. Where did you get that?" Harper stammered. I finally smiled. "From you. You posted half of it on your Instagram story. I just saved the rest." I turned to Dad, my voice sharp and steady. "You hit my son, in front of people, at his own birthday party. You kicked both of my kids out of your house while you worshipped your golden grandchild. And now?" I leaned closer, my words slicing through the silence. "Now everyone's going to see it." Dad shot up from his chair, veins bulging at his temples. "You wouldn't dare—" "Oh, I already did." Before coming here, I'd sent the video and photos to the entire extended family, my parents' church group, Dad's work colleagues, everyone they'd spent years impressing with their perfect family act. By now, their phones were buzzing nonstop. Mom's rang first. She glanced at the screen and her hand trembled as she answered. "Well, what? No, listen," she stammered before the person on the other end hung up. Dad's phone went off next and the curses started flying. The whispers had begun, the pedestal cracking under their feet. I turned to leave but stopped at the door and looked back. "You wanted the world to believe you were better than us," I said softly. "Now the world will know exactly who you are." Ethan and Lily stood in the doorway behind me, watching quietly as the family who called them worthless sat frozen, exposed, and humiliated. For the first time, my kids weren't the ones shrinking. They were the ones standing tall. 3 months later, we had our own small place balloons taped to the walls, Ethan's laughter echoing through rooms that finally felt like home. No golden grandchildren. No favoritism. No fear. Just us. And every time I heard Ethan's laugh now, it reminded me of one thing. Sometimes revenge isn't silence. Sometimes it's making sure the people who broke you live with the pieces in public, where everyone can see exactly what they are. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.